Uh, Good evening and welcome to Prudent Media's Gajali. I'm in Melbourne. My name is Frankie Fernandez. My guest is halfway down the line to India in Singapore. That's Tagore Almeida, and the program is recorded in Goa for Prudent Media. My guest today is none other than he is an IT professional, he's a writer, he's a director, he's a producer. Born and brought up in Goa, moved and to UK and did his studies out over there, worked in Dubai, and now he's in Singapore. Welcome, Tagore.
Thank you, Frankie. Thank you very much to you and to Prudent Media for sparing some time to talk to me. Much appreciated.
Good. You seems like you've not forgotten the Konkani language. What is this? Tu Azum Purian Konkani no laita.
I think that's probably it, but let's carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, Tagore, tell us your memories about Goa. You left Goa. जेन्ना तूं गोवा सोडून गेलो तेन्ना तूं 15 वर्साचो आसलेलो.
Right.
And now you are into Bollywood from a different region altogether. कशें करून manage करता तूं?
I left Goa when I was about 15. I went to London to study. I studied in London in computer science. त्याच्या उपरांत हांवें आनीक 4-5 वर्सां थंय रावन हांवें काम केलें for a software house. But while I was studying in a software house, every weekend I used to save my money and go and learn filmmaking at the London Filmmakers Co-op. So that was a passion to learn more about cinema. I always wanted to be a part of cinema, not an actor. I never wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to make cinema because I felt that cinema is such an important and powerful media that it's great to entertain us, to make us laugh, but it's also a very great and powerful media to tell important stories about mankind, about how we can make our things better. And when my film like Usdin, if you saw that, it's just that. I mean, the reason why we made that for movie is because Goan, especially Mare, is a very cute way. Shazari Jogota, and about stupid things. Cousins are fighting with cousins, and there's so many battles that happen that shouldn't happen. And I always feel, Shazari Muncher is an extension of the family. And Ivado Muncher and a bigger extension of the family. So why are we fighting between ourselves? Differences are not sastele, but it's about having talks, about forgiving, about loving. This is what we've been learning in Goa, right? And you were talking about when I left Goa, that was Goa for me, back in 85, 86. When I left Goa, we were very simple. I grew up in a ward called Agarwad. We were very simple people. I mean, obviously we had our differences and we would fight, especially the kids playing football in the fields and everything. But but there was never hatred, and that's why I felt that I had to make Usdin, had to invest into it, make it, and that's why the whole passion to get into cinema. And I've always been very fascinated with cinema. I mean, from a young age, there were lots of musicians in Goa, especially you get every second household as a musician and they play in a band. That was all okay. It was great, but I was really attracted towards cinema for various reasons. And I'm glad I've got a chance to do it as a passion. I don't do it full time, as you know, Frankie. I do it as a passion. I do it on my terms. I do it when I want to. And I hope, yes, I mean, I get a lot of happiness and satisfaction from what I'm doing with it.
I think picture Usdin Poila. It's about 12 minutes or so. The film is available on Royal Stag Barrel Select Large and Short Films. It's a very fast movie.
Yeah.
Okay. In a nutshell, tell us more about this.
So Ustin was a film that it wasn't my idea. I can't take credit for it. It was all the brainchild of the director and the writer Vikram Gupta, who wrote and directed it. Then film on a smaller scale, and he had put it into a film competition in Mumbai. And like a first prize, but he had finished directing, assistant director to Farah Khan on Mehuna, the film with Shah Rukh Khan. And he wanted to revisit this movie, and he wanted to make it on a larger scale. So he had a lot of co-producers, Whistling Wood, Pixion, Filmaka, Fuji Film India, but he wanted a producer. So the common acquaintance taka sangale ek Munisa Tagore Almeida, very big on this humanitarian, peace-loving kind of thing. He might be interested in it, and he also has a passion for cinema. So Vikram phone can you be my producer? I had never been a producer. I chintal ya burga kawan naam untolo munon for sure. When teka sagla ke tum script dad wasn't to ka file sangta munon. And he said, no, I'll send you the short film as well that I shot. I said, okay. So he sent it to me. And in 12 minutes, as you said, the movie, in the 13th minute, I called him and I said, how much like Victor, no, but we have to make this movie. And that's how the movie happened. It really works very well with my uncultured company, one world, one faith, one race, one color, just a different face. I mean, Sansaran Mare, I'm so time Sansaran Frankie Bab is limited. Some of us have 60 years, some of us have 80 years. In this, whatever time that we have, if we are not nice and we don't make a impact for the goodness of one another, then what's the point of the life? Zogran call of what value or benefits has war and hatred and fights created for us? So that's what the movie is about.
आणि मग म्हज्या प्रमाणे आमी सगळ्यांच हे पिक्चर पळोवपाक जाय. एक पावटी न्हू पूण 2 पावटी वा 3 पावटी देखून मेळलो समज ऑपॉर्च्युनिटीज मेळ्ळी जाल्यार आमी पळोवपाक जाय. बिकॉज द मूवी गिव्स अ व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट मेसेज, स्पेशली इन कंटेक्स्ट टू इंडिया एंड आवर नेबर्स.
Yes, absolutely.
But before that, you also played a very important role as a producer and director with another movie that was also available on the Royal Stag Barrel Select large and short films, and that's the Sinner of it is
Sinners. Yeah, so A God of Sinners is not on the Royal Stag platform, but it's on the YouTube platform. So if you go to YouTube and you search for A God of Sinners, that was a movie that we made after Usdin, and that was a movie that I wrote, directed, and produced. Very fortunate to have worked with some amazing talent again. We had Shashank Arora in this movie as well. So again, it's another movie which looks at around a similar topic about why we fighting. In Usdin, people were fighting with a misunderstanding between two neighbors. The God of Sinners was exactly what it is. I'm sogle patki. In some way or the other, I'm sogle patki. And it patyang deo ha or na. That's it. So it questioned that concept that is there a God for sinners like you and me who create diversion and walls between each other, be it in the name of religion, color, races, caste. So, and also at the end, if you notice, there was a song that was sung with the credits called Is There a God for a Man Like Me? And I wrote that, and my music director, Rahul Bhatt, sang it, composed it. It was brilliant. And it was such a joy, again, to be associated with a film like that, just as it has been with Usdin as well. But I'm glad you saw both the films, Frankie. Thank you very much for investing your time to watch my films.
Yeah, but the very important part over here is like I'm talking in terms of Rajkumar Rao. Now, he was not into the Bollywood industry. I think you were the one who actually gave him that break first.
Not me, Vikram. So he was Rajkumar Rao was very new in Bollywood. He was going around auditioning for all sorts of works. We were very fortunate to have come across him and have had him to work in our film. I mean, I think he wanted to work with Vikram and the whole setup, and we wanted to work with him. So I think it worked quite well for both of us.
Okay. Now, when we started off the interview, I asked you about your memories about Goa. Now, as you know, since 2004, India has been or rather Goa has been the host to the International Film Festival of India.
Yeah. Well,
do you think that years down the line, over a decade now, have we accomplished what the International Film Festival of India was supposed to bring to Goa, being the host state?
Okay, Frankie, commercially, and in terms of tourism, I'll not go because I don't have an exposure and I've not been paying attention to it. But purely from the world of cinema and films, I think we have let ourselves down completely. I mean, to Chintre from 2004, if he has been in Goa, how many Goan films go to it? And why not? If you look at our heritage, I'm saying theatrists. I mean, we have got such amazing stories in our theaters. I mean, I remember those when I was growing up. We had very value-based, funny stories about social stories in our theaters. Why haven't those transitioned into cinema? Now I know that a lot of theatrists take their theaters onto the streets with a handy cam and they shoot and they put them out on. That's not cinema, by. I'm sorry to say that with all respect. I say that with all my respect to all these theatrists taking your theaters onto the streets and into live locations and filming it is not a film. Cinema has a different language, so just because you like to guy example kurung sotao, if you go to a theater, right, you're sitting in the audience and you're looking at the stage from a 180 degrees. You can see what you want to see. You can see the actors thing. Cinema, the same thing. You do close-ups, you do different angles, you turn the camera around because you influence people of what you want them to see. That's the simple basic difference between
Exactly.
a stage and a theater. The talent is totally different. It's like musicians in the West. Musicians who are very good live musicians, and there are musicians who are very good studio musicians, and there are some who are both. But there's a certain talent, a certain dedication to where you want to play. So just because you're a theatrist actor or you're a theatrist director or a theatrist, this thing doesn't mean that you can do the same thing with cinema. I think it's about time. And there are some Goans, by the way. There are some Goans who are actually making cinema, but there are very few, Frankie Bob. And I think it's about time that a lot of our Goan youth, our theatrists, actually sit back and say, picture munche kide, and actually start
Exactly.
watching Bollywood, start watching Malayalam cinema, start watching Iranian, Hollywood, whatever films they want, and start understanding the language of cinema. And then take our Goan content, because I'm not saying make non-Konkani films. I think we should stick to the language we know. We should stick to the language of our hearts. Konkani film
Exactly.
ko, but make it in the language of cinema, because and then it will work. Because this guy who did this movie on Chris Perry, right? Uh, what's his name? The guy who did the Chris Perry movie.
Bedroy Barreto.
Yeah, that's the guy. Look what he did. It's a Konkani film, and look how it worked. A Punjabi friend of mine in Bollywood said to me, "Have you seen this Konkani film?" And I'd heard about it, and I said, "No, I've not seen it yet." He said, "He's a friend of mine. Do you want to meet him?" And I was supposed to meet this guy, but then this COVID thing happened. But a Punjabi guy hearing about a Konkani film, that's an achievement. You know?
I think, in a way, Nacha Kumpasar had all the ingredients
Yeah,
that were waiting to be explored to let the world know,
yeah,
yes, we have a film culture over here. And
yeah.
Nacha Kumpasar was just the explosion of it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But we've always had good cinema. If you look at the early days, Amche Noshib and all this, they were proper cinema. They were proper films. Even if you look at them today, Frank, you can see that they were actually cinema. You know,
Yeah,
might be outdated, but they were cinema.
exactly. Exactly. Now, you've been in Bollywood. Anything that you would be planning or in the process of offering to go on in terms of Konkani?
Look, I'm not in Bollywood. First of all, I mean that's very flattering, but I'm not. I'm a full-time family man with a wife and a daughter and
Yes.
IT and all that. But yes, I am in a parallel road to Bollywood. I'm involved in a few things and mainly in short films. I've written a few feature films. Two of them that were released. One of them was a movie called Alag, which was released in Bollywood with Dia Mirza in it. But I'm right now focusing on doing a lot of. Of course, I would love to do another feature film, but it's not easy. But I think the key, Frank, is like we have to rise up and start
Exactly.
dreaming of wanting to do it. My father used to always say, when you want to achieve something, 80% of the battle is about dreaming it. You first have to set your goal saying, "Maka ye kor pag jaye." Even if there's a theatrist in Goa has a great story, to theat ko, but you know what? Then say, you know what? I want to make this into a film. I want to make this into a Bollywood film. And start working. We have all the means, all the mechanisms in the digital age today to try and get this. Be very aware that you might meet a lot of the right people. Make sure that you're working with people who understand your vision and who want to make it for the sake of cinema and also for the commercial benefits. Commercial benefits are very important. A lot of investment goes into making films, so the commercial returns are incredibly important because it, first of all, doesn't cause damage to the investors, and secondly, it opens doors for you to make your next film.
Tagore, we'll basically start off with Bedroy's film. Okay. Uh, what we discussed earlier about was Nacha Kumpasar, that ये एकूच film जावन आहा कितल्या वर्सांनूच which has been like a volcano. It's traveled across the globe. Okay, people have seen it umpteen number of times. Okay, and probably that was the climax of people wanting to watch a real Goan film.
Absolutely, a Konkani film, you know. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and as you said it, Frankie, I mean, look at that's exactly what I'm saying. The heritage of Goa, okay, the heritage of Goa, storytelling, great stories. All right, look at the music of Chris Perry, man. I mean, even today, you can tap your feet to this great music. We put all of that together and we added a language of cinema, and hats off to the guy, and we told a story, and the world got interested. It went to festivals, I've been told, all over the place. So if we make a good film, we have the stories, okay? We've got the
Exactly.
talent, all right? We need the cinematic expertise. And if you make these films in Konkani and you send them to festivals, people will watch them. There is a hunger for good cinema, a hunger for great stories. And I think we have all of those in Goa, except we need to be able to dream and say, "Maka ye kor pak jaye. Maka ye festival ano osang jaye." I want people in Iran to watch my film who I don't even know them, not my Shazaris, not my friends. I don't know who the audience is. And I'll tell you, Frankie, one of the most memorable things in my life was many years ago when one of my first short films called Bin Moksh went to a festival in Wales in England, and I nobody knew me there, and obviously, and I went to the cinema when they were showing my movie, and there was half of the cinema was full, and people were watching my film. And when the film got over, a lot of people, as it is their tradition, clapped. I didn't know any of them. It's such a great high when people who you don't know appreciate your work, you know. And then
Exactly.
in the Q
Uh,
and A section, I was asked, and that's when I said I'm from Goa, from India, a little state, ex-Portuguese colony, you know, but we're part of India, and I come from there. That's when you get to talk about your in pride from where you come from, you know.
exactly. And I think you traveled far and wide, taking your film. The God of Sinners was again another one. ये तुझे picture Cannes Film Festival पावले, Los Angeles Film Festival पावले, Canada पावले. What was the reaction from the movie goers and those in the industry that you found?
So A God of Sinners was a very again another sensitive film like Usdin Korpak, because you know God of Sinners looks at the phobia that we have about each other from different religions, different castes, and so forth, and how that happens. So yeah, picture kare the we sent it. The wider audience in the world loved it. Okay, they could relate to it. They understood where it was coming from, especially with the Islamophobia that the world was going through about 8 years ago. It really made a lot of sense, and I thoroughly enjoyed taking my movie to all these festivals, you know, and everything. But my most treasured moment with A God of Sinners was I was part of the film jury at a festival in Cochin called the All Lads Film Festival. I was a jury of the short film categories, and they wanted to showcase a jury member's film, and they showed the film, and then
Okay.
there was a Q&A, and the questions that came out from the youth in Cochin blew me away. They wanted to know, why are we fighting in the name of religion? How do we overcome these differences? What do we need to do? How aware do we make ourselves about these things? Because it was a simple story, as you saw. Four friends very close together like brothers. Something rubbish happens outside, and how it breaks the world inside. And that's what's happening in the world, Frankie. Again, so these things about telling these important social stories stem from nowhere else but my Goan roots. You know, they stem from my Goan roots about wanting to tell good social messages.
Exactly. Uh, Getting back to Goa,
Yeah.
as I read earlier, your dad, Tuzo Pai, he was a writer.
Yes.
Okay. Was that a sort of an inspiration that you had?
Oh, absolutely. I think whatever talent, whatever little talent also that I have in my life, it's come from my dad's side of the family for sure. My mom's going to kill me for this, but no. My dad and my mom used to work in the Gulf, and we were in Goa in school. So every twice a year, we used to go to the Gulf to see them during our holidays. So when I was in the Gulf, before dad went to work, he should tell me, to ek page boroi, essay, short story, kidezang poem, kidezang, but both sides. To ek page boroi, to I'll give you $10. And what I do with the $10, nobody wanted to know. Okay. And I used to spend all my $10 on buying audio cassettes. So I had a stack of audio cassettes only because I would write so much because I wanted to buy all these audio tapes and bring them back to me with, when I came back to Goa. So that was the inspiration. I'm so glad he did that to me because he actually motivated me. He gave me the wings to dream actually and say,
Exactly.
to ye boroi, and don't worry where it's going to go. A very dear friend of our family, the late Manohar Savdasai, I was so fortunate to have met him and sat with him one to one, have tea at his house, and just listen to him. And every time I left his house, Frankie, I used to feel so useless because here was a man so learned, so deep, had done so much in his life. But it used to inspire me. So besides my father, Manohar Bab, and my late godfather, Felix Cardoz, another well-known writer in Goa, was my
Yeah,
godfather. These guys used to just, they never pushed me. They just used to inspire me to dream big, you know.
exactly.
I'm grateful I had that.
Okay. Before we wind up, what can we expect from Tagore Almeida for Goa?
For Goa, at the moment, I was telling somebody else, that I want to do a Konkani film. I don't think it'll be a feature film. It'll be a short film.
Okay.
My father used to write a column for East and on Gulab, saying Poila Toshe Borela, and they're all sitting with us. All the archives of it. My interest is really to do something that my dad had written, or to do a Shakespearean adaptation of one of Shakespeare's plays in Konkani, in the short film format.
Okay.
For that, I have no idea. I know only a couple of people in Goa who are into proper films, not theatre films, into proper
Yeah.
films. So I think when I'm ready to do it, I think I would like to do something. But yeah, I think that's the plans for Goa. I'm doing another short film at the moment, which we were supposed to do in February, but because of pandemic, on hold with an actor called Neil Nitin Mukesh. And the soundtrack of that film, right at the end, is Konkani Mando, which has been rendered by our very own Remo Fernandez.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so that's been my lifetime dream. So you dream about working with people. My dream has been to work with Amitabh Bachchan and to work with Remo Fernandez. That's it.
Exactly.
So
And I'm pretty sure that an artist like Remo Fernandez, who's given so much for Goa and to the country, would be delighted to be part of a project that you
he,
would be.
I asked him, I sent him a request very respectfully, said, Remo Bab, this is particular song of yours, Konkani Mando, which you did, and I'd love to use it for my movie. Please tell me how to go about it. What do I need to pay you, whatever. And literally within instance, he sent back and said to me, it's yours in exchange for being friends for a lifetime. This is what greatness is. This is how I remember great Goans to be. Manohar Sardesai, Remo Fernandez, these people, they give so much to the community, and they're
Exactly.
happy to see other Goans coming up. And you can't put a value on that. You can't put a price on that.
Exactly. But anyway, Maga, a big thank you to you, Dio Barekoro. तुझा आमका वेळ दिलो म्हूण. You are in Singapore. I'm in Melbourne. The time difference, and this program is recorded in Panjim, Goa. And what a way to give something to the state of Goa from friends like us who are far away. Thank you once again. Tagore Almeida, for your time.
Joe Bore Korung Frankie, and thank you, Prudent Media, for taking your precious times to talk to me and hear my side of my story in the world. Teo Bore Bore Korung.
Thank you.